My coverage of CES 2024 is brought to you by Cooler Master, Kioxia, ASUS, and Gigabyte. We're at ASUS. ASUS is a sponsor of my coverage this week, so I want to say a big thank you to them. And I'm here with JJ. I've been working with JJ for like more than a decade, talking about computer parts, and I trust him so much with his knowledge about the ASUS products we're going to cover today that we've mic'd him up so he can actually give you a lot more detail than I would be able to regurgitate, as I often do with this type of thing. So, how you doing, JJ?
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited about being able to tell the whole community it's about some really cool stuff. We've got some stuff that I actually seriously think you guys in the comments, you're going to be busting it up. You're going to be like, that was pretty cool.
Okay. Well, where are we going to start?
We're going to start actually with some new coolers. In terms of an update, the first thing we're going to take a look at is going to be some new coolers. So right now, we kind of have a good, better, best, where we have our Tough Gaming LC series, we got our ROG Strix series, and then we go into our ROG Ryu or Ryujin. So the Strix LC is going to be making up our new enthusiast mid-range. So we go from, of course, version 2 to version 3. So what did we do for version 3? One, we went to the new Asetek-based pump. Okay. It's the 7th gen V2 pump. And the main thing that you got there is just it's going to be a little bit higher in terms of the flow rate. So if you want to be able to drive up the pump for a little bit more performance, it's not huge, maybe a couple of degrees, you can go ahead and do that, but it's going to be the expense of noise, okay. Right? We also went to a decoupled housing design, so you can go ahead and actually remove it if you want to be able to make adjustments, so that's pretty cool. And we also maintain our ring barrier type of design for our fans. So of course the main thing that you want to focus in on there is that of course the ring barrier just helps to focus airflow into the heatsink assembly. Okay. If you don't have a ring barrier, you can help to maximize kind of general airflow, but that's going to be better for more like a chassis fan as opposed to a radiator-based solution. Okay. So you'll see the optimized ring barrier fans on the ROG Strix LC series. You can get them in white, you can get them in black. Now,
does that also help to minimize the amount of gap between the edges of the fans and the chassis itself?
Yep, that would also be a factor as well.
All right.
So moving over onto this side, we're actually going to have a little bit of a 210 kind of steered upgrade. So you can have it with no screen, or you can have it to the screen. So normally we haven't had like a, say, more mid-range kind of cooler with a screen. We only had the high-end side, so just the Ryu or the Ryujin. Okay. So you're the kind of team square or team circle. Let us know in the comments. Are you team square or team circle? Or you're indifferent?
I'm kind of indifferent about that, to be perfectly honest. I've seen it implemented both ways. Yep. I've used the Ryujin, had that really nice big screen, and I guess it seems a little bit more natural for the square one, but all-in-one coolers are traditionally more circular, and it keeps the actual housing a little bit smaller, so
they both carry kind of their pros and their cons, right? But yeah, 2.1 inch display, so nice, big, bold, bright display. A little bit smaller than the Ryujin, which is still the biggest on the market at 2.5 inches. But of course, this will be a lot less. So again, still same 7th gen Asetek pump, V2 based designation. You still get the optimized ring barrier fans, 240 or 360, white or black, right? Your choice.
Do we have prices or launch dates?
Price dates are not 100% yet confirmed, but of course will be much cheaper than the Ryu or the Ryujin, and probably just a little bit more of a price premium than our current Strix LC models, okay. Which if you're looking for some really great options, pick them up right now over the next couple of months because we're doing huge promo pricing reduction on those models. Like literally, to give you some insight, the price for my Strix 360 LC2 is literally the same price right now as my Tough Gaming LC2. But it's the ROG Strix model. So it's literally a really, really nice savings benefit if you want to take advantage of a very nice, still very good performant cooler, supports AM4, AM5, socket 1700. Okay. You know, it's just the older model before we get to the refresh.
Fire sale on ASUS AIOs.
Yep. So next one is actually going to be something kind of a little bit new and crazy and different. We're not getting into the custom water cooling market, but we are going to be offering our first add-in water cooling component. So this is actually going to be the Ryujin Water Block. So this will actually be a high-performance cold plate water block. Of course, you have your standard fittings which come included, so you can integrate it into soft tubing or hard tubing. Again, I want to know, are you team soft tubing, or are you team hard tubing? JJ, it's personal build, I'm all about the soft tubing. Easier to maintain, it's just as performant. I actually like the rounded aesthetic also a little bit more than so many kind of perpendicular hard lines.
I would agree, just to put in my opinion on that, mainly because I've built hardline systems that have needed maintenance at some point. It's so much easier to do with soft tubing, but the work that some of the hardline, like the guys who've been in it's amazing.
It does look fantastic. So again, you can integrate into soft or hardline. You can get it in white, you can get it in black, and it's the same screen that we have on the Ryujin, so that nice big 2.5 inch display. High refresh, as far as 60 Hertz, so it's improved from the last generation. bigger onboard memory. You can of course control and synchronize it all through the Arm Create software suite. So this one should be before the end of Q1. I don't have a price yet, but before the end of Q1 timeframe. And again, we're not going to be offering any of the other items, so you still need to get, of course, your distribution block, your reservoir, your pump, all of those things. This is just one of those options that, if you want to look for a screen on your water block, we're going to have you covered. So the next one, this is going to be the interesting point. Paul, I know you had some feedback, some thoughts on the BTF ecosystem.
Yeah. There was some beef. I feel like last time we talked, normally JJ and I were very friendly. I was like, JJ, I sense that you're upset with me. Not seriously, but so if you guys watched my Computex 2023 coverage, ASUS was demonstrating their back-to-front family of products, which is motherboards with the connectors moved to the back.
Yep.
And if you have a case that's compatible with that, it means you can plug in the connectors from the back. It's going to hide the cables. Theoretically, some improvement to airflow there.
Theoretically, I would say you're right. The biggest reason, 100%, is about aesthetics. Okay. You could argue that you get a little bit of benefit from maybe electrical resistance gets improved because the cables are shorter. You could also say that maybe the thermal connection for the cables themselves, because you have less resistance, are also reduced, right? And maybe easier for a builder because you don't have to route anything, right? You physically can see all of the connectors, so you can more easily line up everything, right? So in that perspective, I think those are a couple of benefits, but as a whole, the big thing is just, it's an aesthetic option. Just like you build Mini or Micro or ATX that have different looks and feels, now you're gonna have BTF.
And my stance on this, I guess, is the same as my stance with PC hardware in general, which is that I don't mind aesthetic improvements, because lots of people like to build a system that's custom, that's unique, that fits their design choices, as long as it doesn't take away from functionality or performance. Functionality for me is also interoperability. So what I was asking JJ is, are you guys going to have a fair amount of case partners to work with that will have cases that match the BTF standards so that you have some choice there? I probably was a little bit more critical of the graphics card with the 12VH power, 600 watts routed through the motherboard via an edge connector on the card itself, which is right here. A bigger one, they went and made it bigger. This is a 4090?
This is a 4090.
So they had a 4070 before, now they've upgraded it to a 4090. I'm gonna hold it because I wanna hold it. So I'm still gonna say that this isn't my favorite thing ever. Yep. And I'm gonna let JJ say his piece. You gotta have a motherboard compatible with this in order to use this setup.
Exclusively, it will only work with an ASUS motherboard. So we will allow for interoperability. If you had a BTF motherboard from ASUS, you can still use other companies' graphics cards, whether they're ours or competitors, that's entirely fine. But if you want to be able to have that full seamless cableless look, then you are going to need to use a ASUS BTF-based graphics card.
So other than aesthetics, are there advantages to this implementation?
I'd say a secondary benefit is actually torsional rigidity. And that's just a fancy way of saying less card sag. If you think about it, it's just physics, right? You have one point of contact, right, with a card, and now you actually have 2 points of contact. So when you put that in, you're essentially just giving the card a secondary bracing point. So it sits just a little bit more flush. Now we do a lot of work already on the graphics card where we have kind of specialized designs that add kind of torsional rigidity to mitigate kind of card sag. Because you can see that with some cards that they'll be heavier and they'll naturally kind of droop, if that makes sense. And that's because they don't usually have some type of bracing design on the inside of the card. But that's the main benefit, is outside the aesthetics, is you get some supplemental kind of auxiliary kind of bracing.
So I'm still gonna say that the BTF as a whole, what sort of changed my opinion on that was one of the builds I did after Computex last year, where I was trying to plug in some 8-pin power connectors on a motherboard, tucked up in the corner, and I was like, you know what? If these were on the back of the board and had a pass-through, it would have been easier. That would have been a functional upgrade to me. So I've softened my stance on that a little bit more, as long as there's a healthy amount of cases that match that standard. And I would also encourage not just ASUS, but maybe the entire motherboard community of manufacturers to establish some form of standards for cutouts or something on cases so that you could have more interoperability. I think that would be great. This, I'm still not completely sold on, but I would like to hear your guys' feedback. Would you guys be okay with purchasing a high quality ASUS motherboard and graphics card together that you know are gonna be paired for life, and to be able to ditch plugging in a 12VH power connector or other supplemental power for your graphics card.
Although you don't ditch it entirely because you still need to connect it. You just have to connect it on the back.
That's true.
You're still connecting it. Yeah, I mean, I think that's actually a fair assessment, right? To say, hey, what are some of the pros and cons? As a whole, really, what are we again trying to do here is you just want to be able to provide a cleaner look and feel for users by just moving all the connectors to the back. In terms of what you have to keep in mind, your chassis has to support it, your graphics cards has to support it, and your motherboard. So what you guys are seeing right here is the new Hyperion BTF edition, the new ROG Strix 4090 BTF edition, and the Maximus Dark Hero Z790 BTF edition. Now, I'm going to pop over. In this suite, we've got a lot of crazy stuff, and we're going to show some awesome stuff over there in a little bit for you guys that want to check out some monitors. But keeping in the BTF theme, I want to show you actually what the entry side of the BTF theme is going to look like with the tough gaming ecosystem, and also see how you feel about that. And also, we're going to talk about all the amazing partners that are already committed to supporting the ASUS BTF ecosystem. So let's actually do a little bit of magic and head over to the BTF.
Okay.
So through the magic of our feet, we've now come over to the other side of the suite, and we're essentially checking out the second part of BTF. So BTF actually will initially launch first with actually tough gaming, and later with ROG. So this is actually a little bit different. Normally we usually launch first with ROG when it comes to like new features, functions, designs, and then we kind of roll it down to maybe the tough gaming series. But this time around, actually ROG BTF will launch first. And the really cool thing about this is it actually means that I think you're going to get it at a lower price point. If we take a look at kind of a budget perspective, as far as what you're actually talking about from a pricing perspective, this is our brand new GT302. Okay. It's a fantastic option. That competes against something like a 4000D at around like, let's say $110, $120, okay. But gives you 140s in the front, 140 in the rear, 360 on the top, a lot of nice room there up in the front for even a 4090, because you can see right here. And also, this picture actually gives you a really good idea that, one, you still get flexibility with a BTF product. This is a BTF chassis, but you can see right here, I have a traditionally built system. Okay. So just because you're buying a BTF product doesn't necessarily mean that it's affecting the traditional builders out there. You still can have interoperability and compatibility. This is a full standard system that you would build right now, but you can also happen to go in and then later decide to transition to a BTF-based ecosystem, because our chassis will support both BTF and traditional builds, because all that's changed is just the support for those cutouts that you talked about.
I got you. So this has the back, the connectors on the back. This one has the case.
Yeah. Well, technically, actually, this is the same case, even with the same cutouts on the back, okay. But we just have a traditional motherboard setup in it, gotcha. Right? So just kind of showing you what it kind of looks like. And again, it's a very example that this is also what you'll see from competitors. So imagine competitors offering this kind of very clean look, but you're always going to see that cable with our friends over at MSI and our friends over at Gigabyte. This will be the GT302. I'm really excited about it. Like I said, very reasonable price point. The motherboard, this is an updated version of our Tough Gaming Z790 Pro, which right now is at 280. It's the entry in our Z790 refresh. Okay. Here you'll probably be looking at about maybe 310 to 320. So you're not looking at too much of a premium for the BTF, but there is a little bit of a premium. One, because it's a little bit more expensive manufacturing process. And two, something interesting, we'd love to see your guys' feedback, so let us know in the comments. A negative byproduct of actually BTF is that all the solder pins on a motherboard that normally you never see, because they're on the back, are actually all going to be visible on the front. One of the reasons why we had to add the little bit of cost to the motherboard is we have to spend some more time to put some little bit more ornamentation on the board to kind of cover those spaces. Because we don't think that ideally maybe you would want to see those solder points. Now, if you're fine, that means that we could maybe just offer it in a kind of more covered shroud and offer it to you at a little bit lower price point, but you're going to have all those visible solder points.
Okay. So for anything that's through hole, connectors mounted there, and then you have solder point at the back. The other thing is like those can be pokey sometimes.
Yep.
You ever poked yourself on one of those?
Yep.
It's not fun.
It's the same thing with a motherboard that has a back plate, which is really nice because it just feels really nice and smooth. So you make a great point where if you touch it from the front and you feel that, it's also going to poke you, right?
Again, feedback in the comments.
Let us know. But that's actually another cool design approach, is that Q-release design protection implementation. We're also offering that even though this is a cableless design. So we had to redesign our Q-release ejection system to work for the BTF because, of course, there's 2 contact points. But it still works. It's pretty cool. I mean, if I actually put in the graphics card. So let's see if I can do this. Oh, with a little help from a friend. Doing it live at CES. All right, now go ahead and pull it for me. There we go. So you can still see that you can still do it and not have to use like a screwdriver, push down, or do kind of that crazy stuff.
I prefer a chopstick.
So that is going to be the BTF update. So pretty cool. But staying here, before we get over to talk about some of the best displays for 2024, we're going to do some cool little subtle updates. We're adding this really little cool accessory. It's just a cheap TF fan hub, but definitely not cheap in terms of quality. We did a really nice quality PCB. We have fuse protection built in there, but you got ARGB fan control support. You've got, of course, 4-pin fan support. So both of them, it's going to probably cost about 20, 25 bucks.
Okay.
But if you essentially just want an easy way to be able to matrix out support for more ARGB fans, as well as for more, ARGB devices, as well as fans, you're good to go. You'll also notice 2 supplemental SATA powers. And the main reason why is what we found in our testing, some boards that only have 1 single input actually have too little power. So the actual LEDs might be slightly diminished, or you can get more variability in the performance of the fans.
Especially if you want like all white and max brightness.
Yeah, 100%, because if you didn't know, white takes more power to drive because you're actually using the highest output for the LED.
White is all the colors combined.
Another update that we'll have coming in is our new TR120 fans.
Okay.
So they actually have a little bit of a cool design where you can actually see that they have a dual array LED, but you can rotate them and position them in different ways. So if you want to kind of go like a 2 to 1 to 2 configuration, or if you want to go to 2 to 2 to 2 configuration, you can kind of change it up to give you a little bit of a different design aesthetic. And these will be priced very nicely, very similar to our current TF120 fans. So the TF120 single fan sells for about 20 bucks, and then the 3-pack is for about 50 bucks, with also the included nice controller inside the box. So we'll probably be doing a drop-in price replacement for these, and these will look to probably ship at the end of Q1.
Okay.
This will probably be within Q1, and as we noted for all of the BTF stuff, it's going to be within Q1 release.
Awesome.
All right, let's take a look at some monitors. Okay, so we're through the magic of, again, our feet. We're now taking a look at some of the absolute best monitors you're going to see for 2024. I know I'm biased, but I really think that these are going to be some of the absolute best displays you can get in terms of 2024. So I first want to know, drop it in the chat, what's your screen size, what's your resolution, and what's the refresh rate you're running? I think probably a lot of people are probably going to be in the 1440p camp, but we're probably going to see a lot of variation in terms of probably the refresh rate. Some at like 144, 165, and then the guys that like flex, maybe the 240, right?
Like in my head, I feel like the midpoint right now is 1440, 144 hertz.
Yep.
But I base that on absolutely no actual research.
No
or anything.
actual market data.
It's just a vague feeling I have.
That's just Paul reaching into the interweb vibes. I would actually agree with you, except for the 144, it's a little bit closer to 165.
Okay.
So the first guy that we're going to have is actually 2 monitors. One of them you won't see because it's actually coming out right now, but it's going to be the same specs. So we got the PG39 WCDM. We're also going to have the PG34 WCDM.
Okay.
So they're both going to be 3440 by 1440, both going to be 800R, both going to be 240 hertz, and both going to be 1300 nits. So that's absolutely impressive when you talk about an HDR panel performance for an OLED-based solution. Again, we're going to really offer, I think, a best-in-class experience. So it's going to come down to really just pick the one you want.
It's like one of the biggest weak points of OLED, right, is peak brightness.
Peak brightness for both SDR and for HDR. Okay. SDR is actually, for a lot of people, even the bigger factor, because when they're just working at a Windows desktop and they open up their browser and all of a sudden it just starts to get really dim, they're like, my LCD from 5 years ago is brighter than this, and they get surprised. So actually, you don't just want to look at HDR brightness, you also want to look at SDR brightness. Okay. And for reference, if you're wondering, full screen SDR brightness on a lot of the current panels is probably going to be in the range of about 250 to almost 300 nits, in around that range. But again, LCDs can actually do quite a bit more than that. So if you really like a bright image, it still may be that might make more sense for you to consider an LCD. Another update that you're going to see here is actually going to be on the back of this before we get to the next display. But for those who are wondering about pricing and availability, the 34-inch is going to be coming out this month. MSRP pricing to be tuned, but it will be sub $1,500. For the 39-inch, stay towards a little bit closer towards the end of Q1, going into Q2.
Okay, no price on that one yet?
Not yet. New update here, I won't talk about too much, but you're going to see it's our first monitor arm. So this is actually going to be something that we had a lot of requests with. A lot of people had kind of this question of like, will a monitor arm carry this weight? Will it work? And so we just decided to validate our monitor arm designed to work with pretty much all of our latest monitors. So if you buy the 34, the 39, the 32, the 48 inch, it doesn't matter. You can get our monitor arm, which has a high quality based design. It's not going to droop down over time. It's got some cool little design accents with the red in there.
It's got the ROG aesthetic.
Yeah, you can adjust the tension on there. It's got some integrated cable routing, nice chamfer design, all metal. You can definitely feel that it feels premium, nice fit and finish, a nice clamping design with even also a nice T-handle for additional torque, so you can really make sure to go ahead and tighten it in there. Nice easy access for the screws to be able to branch it in. So I'm really excited about it. This is going to be probably sub $150. We're looking probably about $130, which I think is very reasonable for a good quality monitor arm. So you will be seeing come out this probably in or around early Q1. So in the not too distant future, maybe in about a month or 2 months. Now let's go ahead and jump over here and take a look at what might be the benchmark for 2024 for OLED motion clarity experience. So we set the bar previously with the 1440p 240Hz Swift, which also was the best of the bunch of all the manufacturers that made a 27-inch OLED. While I'm biased, the reviews unequivocally show that we set the benchmark for SDR and HDR performance. We're going to do it again with this guy. So this is going to be 1440p, 1300 nits, and 480 Hertz refresh rate. So absolutely monstrous. So if you're looking, again, for the absolute fastest, the benchmark in terms of motion clarity, it's going to be with this option. Another little sleeper tip for those of you guys that are going to be watching this, it's not in the spec cards, so let me know if you found out about this in the comments that you watched it right now, whatever the timestamp is. All of the new monitors that I'm talking about here at CES that we're showing have black frame insertion as part of our OLED implementation. If you guys love motion clarity, you know what BFI is all about. If you don't, Google it, check it out. It's absolutely awesome, and it's going to take these displays to even just the next level in terms of performance.
The only downside to showing off OLEDs and new displays at an event like this is people can't really see what's going on at home. But let me tell you, these little UFOs, that top one is very crisp. And even I've had the same experience comparing the 60 to 120 to 240. And somehow it's tightened up. Yeah,
one thing that just is interesting for those of you that may or may not know too much about display panel tech is that a key benefit from OLED is that the pixel persistence and the response time is ultra low and very stable. So traditionally with an LCD, you see a lot of times the marketing message of 1 millisecond response time. In reality, that's not true. The pixel response is quite variable across the totality of the panel, and many times it can be between 3, 4, 5, 6 milliseconds across an LCD display. With an OLED, you're always generally seeing sub 1 millisecond, many times 0.3, 0.4 millisecond, and that's always across the entirety of the refresh rate range. So whether you're at 120, 240, 180, whatever it is, it's very consistent, whereas an LCD actually has much more variance. Sometimes you have what's called more crosstalk or noise at different refresh rate values. That's why a technology called variable overdrive for an LCD is very important. So the really cool thing was with the OLED having such low pixel response and then adding in the ultra high refresh rate, it's really the gold standard for really great motion clarity.
It's one of the reasons I've promoted OLEDs so often as the technology has matured and they've come down in price significantly and become a lot more widely available. That response time, it's so great for gaming. Everyone who I recommend an OLED to comes back to me and says it was awesome, and it's really something you have to try for yourself though.
I would still premise these as being first and foremost gaming and content-based displays. While we have a lot of great technology built in to help to mitigate and prevent burn-in, we can't say that you will not experience burn-in. It is the inherent nature of an OLED-based panel, so do keep that in mind that there's still a lot of great options that if you want a high refresh rate, very good color gamut, good contrast performance, not of course same OLED, we still have lots of LCD options that are going to be great.
And you guys have panel health tech built in,
all that good stuff is all built in, and of course all of these are going to have ASUS's unique thermal solution technology, which helps to keep the OLED panel at a lower than a 60-degree temperature target, which helps us to reach not only higher temperatures, but it helps to maximize the actual lifespan for the OLED panel itself.
And did you say is there a launch?
I did not. No price, and launch time frame is going to be, this is going to be one of those ones that's fluid. At earliest, probably maybe Q2, late Q2, maybe early Q3. That may move, so just make sure to watch Paul's news, all right, to find out about that.
I will let you guys know once I find out.
So another update is we go again big and crazy. Now this is where it's pretty interesting. We're going to talk about two monitors, kind of like where we talked about the 34 and the 39. So right now we have launching this month the PG32 UCDM. That's 32 inches, 4K, 240 hertz, 1000 nits. Now that already sounds amazing. That in itself is fantastic, and that uses a Samsung QD 2nd Gen OLED panel. The PG32 UCDP is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a 4K, 32-inch, 240 hertz, but also offer a toggle to Full HD 480 hertz, and also operate at 1300 nits. So even brighter. This achieves that because this is utilizing LG panel-based design through MLA technology, which will even allow for a brighter display. Now, one of the key benefits that ASUS offers as a display manufacturer is that we can work with a multitude of panel providers. So from AU to Samsung to Japan OLED to LG, we can work with multiple companies and bring our experience in terms of the design and development, but not be limited by only one panel vendor. So I think that's a unique attribute. Another cool thing that we're going to have on all these displays, just as a little anecdote, is a lot of people always kind of talk about the physical monitors, and when you're reviewing, you might talk about, hey, here's the button, how's the OSD control? But I like to always tell everybody, do not forget that we have our great Display Widget Center software. The Display Widget software actually allows you to control the OSD all inside of Windows. So if you want to adjust, brightness, contrast, change from sRGB to like FPS mode or anything like that, you can do that all just within an application within Windows. So it's far easier than having to physically adjust via physical menu, right? So another little sidebar is that there's just an example of the Display Widget interface where you can see some of the options that are all available to you. But you'll also see that it's showing you the ALBO1, and that's the new Aura monitor light bar. So we're actually going to be releasing this this month or next month. So this will be actually an RGB light bar, but it also supports full standard white at different ranges. You can go ahead and customize its brightness, its color temperature. You have hardware level lighting control. It's got integrated diffusion-based design so that it doesn't provide glare on the titanium matter on the monitor. A magnetic buckled design, which is really cool for easy mounting to it. If you're one of those people that likes having a little bit of additional light so that you have less eye fatigue at night, or you don't want to turn on all your overhead lighting just to be able to have a little bit of additional lighting for your desk setup, this could be a really cool accessory. And of course, you don't need to use it with an RG product. We're just showing it with an RG monitor.
Is the primary function to light like your work area right here?
Yes, okay. to provide lighting for this space, not to light the display itself. Okay. Right.
And can it like use the RGB to reflect like the on-screen colors and kind of match?
You can actually have a pairing option that's not right now an option within the software suite, okay. But in theory, yeah, we could add that in. And again, if you want some of that functionality, let us know. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Again, because we can control this, most of these options that exist right now, if you could look at like online retailers, they're very basic. It's just like a cheap little like light bar. They're not generally very well built, and they don't have a lot of performance. They have low color rendering index for their LEDs. This is a quite performance-based product, so a lot of flexibility in it. So if you guys want to see more functionality, or you like this and you want to see something different, let us know. We'd love to get your feedback on that. So,
is there more, JJ?
There is more. We haven't stopped. So this one right here, this is the brand new Falchion low-profile keyboard. And before you even lift it, I want you to do the typing feel.
Oh, okay.
Do the typing feel. Yeah, which if you haven't seen it, aka Quick Spot, the ROG Moonstone, full glass gaming surface. It's out right now. You can get it. So one of the things that hopefully you feel is really nice keycap stability on this.
Oh, yeah.
And that's because it uses our new RX optical low-profile switch. So instead of a cherry stem, which is a cross-weighted stem, there's actually 4 contact points, which allow the actual keycap to rest really, really firmly and consistently. Okay. So really nice keycap stability. This is tri-mode, so USB-C 2.4 and Bluetooth. There's an integrated storage bay adapter on the unit, so go ahead and rotate that guy around. So you can go ahead and put your wireless adapter, right? It also has OS X support, so if you're somebody that's rocking a MacBook Air, it's all good, we still love you. You have your nice power switch, some nice metal-based premium composition material, and right here, look at that, we're still including the touch bar that we had on the standard Falchion. So you still can do custom macro commands or volume adjustment on even this compact low-profile design. Now the other thing you're seeing right here, which is pretty sweet, is actually the cover system. So if you want to be able to go ahead and protect this from those cats that get up on your desk, or if you want to throw this in your backpack, you can just literally go ahead and put the cover on there, or you can put it as your base. Either which way, all for about the price of $160. Very reasonably priced for a very performant, really nice, stable feel. And there's even sound dampening foam in there as well. So it feels good, it sounds good, it's lightweight, and it's performant. And it also uses the same Speednova chipset that we use on all of our latest peripherals for ultra low latency in terms of its responsiveness.
This is anecdotal, but I really like the feel of these keys, and they're not clicky.
Yeah, we do have a clicky variant. If you guys are team clicky, let me know, team clicky or team linear. I'm team linear. I like smooth and quiet versus large, louder, maybe more tactile.
I hope everyone is itemizing the things that JJ is requiring you to answer in the comments. We want answers for all of these questions.
Be the hero. I'm gonna do it in here, and Paul can hold me to account. I will give somebody a motherboard for whoever makes all the timestamps in the comments. You heard it here.
They're gonna hold you to that, JJ.
So this is also brand new. This is our new flagship ultra lightweight ergo mouse. This is the Keris 2. So this is going to be coming at 54 grams, which is super lightweight for a ultra high-end ergonomic gaming mouse. It has our brand new ROG aimpoint sensor, 42K. It will support both 4K and 8K polling through our ROG polling rate booster. It's tri-mode, so you have Bluetooth, USB-C, and also 2.4 low latency gigahertz. RGB, which is actually a rarity amongst the lightest weight mice on the market, especially in the premium category. And I think the other part is really feel the build quality. Our build quality is really, I think, absolutely outstanding. Even at something this lightweight, you can really feel that the actual switches, there's no creaking, there's no flexing. This feels absolutely fantastic, but in an ultra lightweight based mouse. It does also support our ROG Omni receiver technology, which means with one adapter, you can have both the keyboard and the mouse work and a wireless connection with still very low latency. And even compared against our competitors, which one competitor starts with an R and the other competitor starts with a C, so you can fill in the blanks for me. We offer notably better performance when it comes to our latency, our battery life, and our RF stability. So a really, really awesome update that we have with the Keris Wireless.
Is that out already? Launching?
Not out. This will be launching before the end of Q1, and the Falchion low profile will be launching probably about the end of this month. Let's keep it down. This guy is going to be our first microphone in 5 years. We haven't had one. This is going to be the ROG Carnyx. So this is going to be, for reference, if you're kind of going like, what do I compare it to? This is going to be going head-to-head against like the Yeti X, the Siren V2 Pro, the Quadcast S, the Elgato Wave 3. It's going to be probably targeting somewhere around $180 price point. But some of the really cool things you'll see is a lot of microphones in this segment, they don't actually have full isolation. There's usually kind of just like bushings and the metal on the stand that allows a lot of sound transmissions to come through whatever you're resting it on. So if you've got keyboards, if you've got vibrations, you've got bumps, they're very, very notable. You can see here we've got, of course, elastomer tied into this to create a little bit more of a true suspension-based design, and it really helps to reduce a lot of that noise. You're going to have a nice one-touch option right here for muting, so if you want to be able to mute the mic, a nice dampen knob right there for multiple options, whether it's going to be for headphone or for gain. We have a high-pass low filter, a nice metal base that's on here, of course, headphone monitoring output with a 3.5mm jack, 3.5 headphone millimeter jack right there, and then USB-C for your connectivity. Overall, I think a great addition.
I like the functional use of the RGB too, so you can know. Red means mute. RGB means you can yell again.
And you will be able to get this guy in white and in black. So here we got the black version, and if you want to see it, of course, in white, it looks quite nice. And you'll also see the other cross benefit is that it does have mounting support, that if you don't want to put it on a boom arm, then you can do it. So either which way. And again, if who's ever keeping track, let me know. Are you on a boom arm or you are just rocking it on your desktop? I've got both in one system. I have like my primary daily driver, I just have my microphone on my desk. I don't have it on an arm. And then on another system, I do have one on an arm. And this little guy right here is the ROG polling rate booster. So we already talked about the mouse, but for those that are wondering, this is going to be the guy that enables that 4K and the 8K experience. And this will also be compatible with the ROG Harp, which we've already released. So if you're Team Ergo, you'll get the 4K and 8K support. If you're also Team Symmetrical with the ROG Harp, you can get 4K and 8K support. You'll just need to update the firmware for that. And pricing, I don't yet have specifically on the polling rate booster, but it'll be out this month.
This is going to be standalone available as well?
Yeah, because of course this will be standalone to be able to be paired with the ROG Harp, which has already been out for about a year. So we have the Cetra True Wireless Speednova Edition. This guy is pretty cool in terms of that there's tons of companies that make TWS, and a lot of really great companies. You got Sony, you got Bose, you got Shure, you got tons of companies that make them, but most of them are not well suited for gaming. They generally all use Bluetooth, and when you have Bluetooth, that's not great from a latency perspective. So these guys are going to offer you not only Bluetooth, but they will also offer a USB-C based adapter. The USB-C adapter can plug into your Switch, your Steam Deck, your phone, your laptop, whatever device it is that's USB-C, and will guarantee you ultra-low latency, better range, and even more bandwidth for an improvement in terms of audio. So it'll be your choice. Do you want USB-C or do you want Bluetooth? Some other cool things that we added in is we have AI noise canceling technology for our microphone, and the microphone is actually also aligned here with a bone conduction sensor. So if you guys don't know the way bone conduction works, is that right now in this room, the mics that we have here are picking up everything. So Joe, of course, might have to do some cool stuff in post-processing, try to maximize the levels and whatnot, but the cool thing about bone conduction is that it only picks up your voice, because of course it's picking up the vibrations that are specific to you when you're speaking. So in that regard, you help to maximize the clarity for when you're talking. This has all been tied together. We have IP certification, wireless charging, quick charging support, and all coming in at a pretty reasonable price, probably somewhere around $100 to $130. Not too expensive for actually a really nice set of good sounding earbuds in terms of their performance, and like I said, low latency. So if you're interested in something to be able to, like I said, have a great gaming experience, but also be able to listen to some music, movies, and check out the latest stream, right? And the latest videos on Paul's hardware. Yeah. You're gonna want to check it out.
I like the little case too.
Yep, and you get the charging case is also gonna give you a top off in terms of battery. And again, both in white and in black.
These are just for the display, by the way, those little white.
Yeah, sometimes here, we get people with sticky fingers. So we sometimes try to keep them a little bit more weighted to where they might be.
There's even RGB on the case. Excellent attention to detail. Team ROG.
ROG does love RGB, right? So wrapping it up, guys, we got two last things, and that'll wrap up our CS tour. I want to thank you guys for just taking your time to check out the amazingness. I want to definitely thank Paul for coming by and letting me check out this stuff. So let's pop over to the other side and take a look at those last two items. All right, so again, through the magic of feet, we've pumped over to the other side. And we're going to take a look at a really cool chassis, but I wanted to show you guys, we're doing all these OLED displays. This is actually the world's first right here, foldable portable monitor. It's 17.3 inches. It's coming at a 2560 by 19 resolution. It's OLED, it's True Black 5 certified. It has an amazing, actually foldable hinge design. And it has, of course, USB-C and HDMI support. So, Paul, why don't we show
Can I fold it?
Yeah, go for it. So it's a really premium metal-based construction, and it's got this really cool actually hinge design that we have here that allows it to pretty much be flush as opposed to having more of a large opening. You can see that cool integrated kickstand and a little threaded mount. It's going to be coming in probably around late Q2 and at a pretty high price point of north of $2,000. But if you're looking for a really impressive portable display that's amazing in terms of course, the contrast and the folds.
Well, we usually bring some portable monitors when we do Computex coverage. Just saying.
There we go. Soft plug, right? Next up right here, this is actually our first ProArt chassis. So a lot of people have been really loving actually what we've done with ProArt as far as just the series, which if you guys are not aware, we of course have Prime series. We've got our Tough Gaming series. We have ROG Strix, and we have ROG, and not that long ago we actually introduced our ProArt components. We've had ProArt monitors for years, and now with the ProArt chassis line, it's an ultra-large, high airflow chassis. So you're gonna have two 200mm fans, not 180, but 200, 38mm thick. It also has a larger 20mm rear 140. Really nice, actually, one-handed access. You can also see a nice, actually, integrated venting system right there. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put that down. When we take a look at the inside, you're gonna see you have an integrated GPU support. We have ducting to help to focus the airflow. You're also going to have handles right here on the unit, so you can actually use that to pick up your chassis, which, especially for a creator build, it can get pretty big. It's quite nice. This is showing you actually an unreleased mock-up version right here that actually will come in either kind of like a black kind of walnut finish or a natural finish option that we'll have available. So you actually have wood here, and down wood at the bottom. The current version that's just shipping right now, early next month at $270, will actually be all plastic. Right? But we will have this wood version that will be coming out a little bit later. Now some of the other cool stuff that it also has is it actually has integrated casters. So you can actually see right here, I can actually move it. It rolls. And in addition to that, it actually has the ability for you to buy your own casters. So you could go to like Amazon, you can buy wheels and you can put them to the bottom. So if you actually want to turn this into like a little bit of a moving DV cart or something like that, you can put your wheels on there and move it out. 5 ports, including 20 gigabits USB-C. You have a hardware level fan control built on here. You also have a lock. We've heard from some users that have kids or pets that sometimes they accidentally press the power button, shuts down the system. Now you can lock it in place so you don't have to worry about accidental shutdown. There's also a cool little actually storage bay right over here where if you remove this one, quick access for the dust filter, It actually can also go ahead and store your wireless adapter. So if you don't want to lose it, it's also nice to store it in there. On this side, one really cool feature is you'll see that you have a little light, a little button right here, and it's very, very hard to tell. If you look at all that porosity that we have in there for nice airflow, there's actually a little integrated sensor that we have in here that actually detects dust. So if you actually get an accumulation of dust, the sensor will trigger the LED, and then I'll let you know, hey, you should pop off the actual front panel so that you actually can clean it to be able to maintain your performance. Last but not least, some cool stuff. Well, actually, 2 more points. You got actually toolless GPU installation. Okay. So you can just go ahead and turn this, open this up. When you open this up, a really easy way that you can pretty much, without any tools, be able to upgrade your GPU, because you'll be able to swing this out. There you go. You can see you pull that out, and now I can actually remove the graphics card. So you don't have to do the two-handed approach. Let me know if you've done it where you hold this, you have your screwdriver, your screw, and you're doing this kind of line-up thing to kind of put it in and then kind of lock it in. But nope, you can just do that and then just lock it back into place. Awesome. Really, really nice and easy.
For such a large chassis that with the sort of more refined design, I feel like you guys are aiming towards professionals, workplaces, that sort of thing.
Yep.
I like the nods you've given towards it being movable. Moving around a build like that when it's fully packed out with gear can be really heavy. And 200mm fans.
Included.
Those were gaining popularity for a while, and then I feel like they went away.
Yeah.
Big fans move lots of air and don't have to spin as high RPMs, so it can get lots of airflow with not much noise.
The other cool thing is compared to something like a Torrent, take for instance, you see on the top is that we do have AI support right in there. That's the new ProArt LC420, which will launch next month. That's a 420mm AIO cooling solution. So again, you've got tons of room to be able to go ahead and set up a system. And 100%, you don't need to build this ProArt. If you want to use another company's board, another company's cooler, another company's power supply, other stuff, feel free, of course. We are trying to just design a great option for people out there that want to build a high airflow, flexible chassis. And while we're not showing off the rear, we can pop off the panel. There's tons of space back there. So you can fit big power supplies, you can fit tons of SSDs, hard drive space, you're all good to go. Pretty much rounding things out, one of my favorite things we've got right here is going to be the latest and greatest when it comes to Wi-Fi. So we just have our Wi-Fi 7 based ecosystem. We recently launched the BE96 and the BE98, which are flagship series Wi-Fi 7 traditional routers. This will be the BQ16 Pro, which will be a mesh networking product. We're showing off a pretty cool demo that we actually have right here that we can show you.
So with this test, they're testing how much data can be moved in 10 seconds. And they move just shy of 9 gigabytes wirelessly in 10 seconds.
And now this is the really cool thing you have to consider. Consider we're at CES, there's tons of interference that you have here that affects performance. But if we do a little bit of a quick kind of breakdown relative to performance, Wi-Fi 6 generally was giving you somewhere between about 600 to 900 megabits of throughput, so almost about 1 gigabit. Wi-Fi 6E introduced breaking the 1 gigabit barrier, so 1 gigabit to about 1.5 plus gigabits. Wi-Fi 7 is showing you speeds between 4 to 8 plus gigabits. This is what you're seeing here. Even within this noisy environment, using MLO technology, which allows us to aggregate bands together, you can see right there, 8.16, 8.43. That's pretty insane that you have literally 8 times the speed of an Ethernet cable able to be achieved wirelessly. So if you want ultra high speed, ultra high coverage, and amazing performance and great features, definitely you want to check out our Wi-Fi 7 based product. And of course, we have complementary Wi-Fi 7 based products. Wi-Fi 7 on motherboards, upcoming laptop solutions, our smartphones, and so many more things, even including mini PCs, which will later see Wi-Fi 7. So if you got Wi-Fi, we got you covered. And this is my little plug here. I'm going to send one to Paul, even if he doesn't want to review it. I'm going to send him one because I want him to have it for every trip that he goes on. It's our AX57 Go. It's a little travel router for 130 bucks. You can take your Android phone or your iOS phone, plug it into that port, and you can now have a Wi-Fi 6 router that you can put in your room, have all your devices be connected with stable and reliable Wi-Fi, so you don't have to worry about the ambient environment. It actually works with a technology called WISP mode, so if you want to use it in an airport or in hotels that actually have captive portal systems, you can also integrate into that. You can run on router VPN, and it's even got a USB port if you wanted to use for like networking storage to share files between devices, you can do that. I think a really great addition. This guy's going to be coming out probably this month or the next month, like I said, for 130 bucks.
That's pretty handy. We could actually use one of these like right now for the show.
So there you go. So if I come back in about 5 minutes and it's not here, I'll know who I have to call afterwards. They're a little bit more stealthy. So that pretty much, man, wraps up. I know that was a lot, but hopefully some pretty cool stuff.
Very impressive, JJ. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. JJ has put a lot of information out there, so we're gonna do the timestamps so you guys can jump to wherever you want to.
And I will reaffirm it, whoever does those timestamps, let me know, and you got yourself a motherboard.
And I feel like me saying that at the very end of the video isn't very helpful. I should have said at the beginning. That's fine. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you to ASUS for sponsoring my coverage of CES 2024. And that's going to wrap it up for this one. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up. I'll post some links down in the description. Check out the playlist if you want to see all my coverage. We'll see you all in the next video. Thank you, JJ.
You got it, man. You killed it. Thank you so much, man.
You killed it. I just had to stand there, JJ.
For you.